Charlotte retained with the figure eight. Becky Lynch attacked her when the match was over to a huge pop. She promised to take back her title, and she called Charlotte a bitch before raising the belt high in the air. Stone Cold Becky Lynch, I see people calling her. I'll say this much. They were behind Becky, the people were, in a way that I have not seen the fans behind a woman in a very long time on this show. Maybe Rousey. The fans have been pretty solidly behind Ronda, I would say, since she debuted. But again, much like SummerSlam, Becky gets the biggest reaction of anything on the entire show. Becky right now is like the bizarro Roman Reigns, right? He's a man, she's a woman. He's the champion, she wants to be the champion. They want the fans to cheer him, but they boo him as loudly as they possibly can. Here, they clearly wanted the fans to boo this woman for being a sour sport, but instead they cheer her like crazy. They are the inverse of one another right now. The fact is that nobody is going to boo this woman against Charlotte. It is just not going to happen. I would hope they realize this by now and they pivot in a slightly different direction. Not even with Becky so much, because there isn't much to really change there, right? I mean, I guess, again, I don't like her ragging on the fans. And yes, I did go back and listen to that Gorilla Position interview that she did, which was very good. And she at least offered a slightly better explanation about, you know, the beef that she has with the fans. I'm not sure why she did that in a podcast interview and they didn't do that on TV. But that's neither here nor there. But still, I would not have her ragging on the fans at all, because it's just unbelievable to me to think, with the reactions that she has been getting for months and months and months, that if we are to take this woman seriously and her grievances, that she would rag on the fans, because to me it still just sounds like cheap heat. So I would pivot away from that, but I would not change too much else about Becky. Becky is pissed off right now. Becky's not taking shit from anybody. I think that's great. I think that's a perfectly fine direction to go in. But don't frame things on commentary. Don't frame things in her promos in such a way that we're supposed to think that, well, the fans didn't support her enough, and so that's part of why she's doing what she's doing. Or, you know, Becky is in the wrong here. Why is she attacking her friend? And, you know, to continue to frame it that way is a big mistake. And I'd like to see them get away from that aspect of it. But what needs to happen here, and I was going to say, like, I wouldn't change much with Becky, where you can't even really call it a double turn, because Becky never really turned. She's just gotten more popular. But they need to go full bitch with Charlotte and just make people want to see Becky take that belt from her in the worst way. They have lucked into something here that I don't think they intended. You could say the same thing about the Daniel Bryan thing. I don't for a second believe that when they did what they did with Bryan back in 2012 and they beat him in 18 seconds at WrestleMania, that they did so with the expectation or the hope that he would blow up the way that he did. And it took a while. I mean, that was in 2012. It really wasn't for another 2 years. Right before he headlined Mania, he won the championship, and you know, it was the following year in 2013 when they did the whole Authority versus Daniel Bryan storyline. But they had to be dragged into what they did at WrestleMania 30, kicking and screaming, and it was a perfect storm of circumstances with Punk walking out. So again, they lucked into that, and they were stubborn, but not too stubborn not to change course at the very end there, and they did the right thing, and I think it made for a great story. It made for a great WrestleMania moment. But they lucked into it. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. You know, with a few tweaks, I think they can really have themselves a little, you know, kind of a little miniature Stone Cold of their own in the women's division. And she's Irish, too. So the drinking should come naturally.